Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build this network from scratch in Packet Tracer. We have got two switches and two VLANs, and we're going to get them to ping each other using a layer 3 switch. I'll walk through everything step by step so you can follow along, and let's get started. Go to the End Devices, click PC. I'll add two here and two here. Go to Network Devices, Switches. I'll choose the 2960 switch. I'll add one here, and one multi-layer switch. Let's align everything. Now let's rename the PCs. I'll name this one PC20. And this is PC21. PC30. And PC31. SW20 and SW30, and for the multi-layer switch, S1. Now let's add the connection. I'm going to connect the PCs with a copper straight through. Choose Fast Ethernet 20, and for the second one, Fast Ethernet 21. Same for down here, Fast Ethernet 20 and Fast Ethernet 21. I'm going to connect the switches with a crossover. I'm going to start from the end, Fast Ethernet 24 and Fast Ethernet 23. To make everything clear, I'm going to show the VLANs by drawing. So I'm going to add a circle with full color. This will be VLAN 20. And this is VLAN 30. Okay, let me type that out. VLAN 20. And VLAN 30. Now let's add the IP addresses. Go to Desktop, IP Configuration, and let's add the IP address 192.168.20.20 and subnet mask. And let's go to the next PC. Desktop IP configuration 192.168.20.21 and subnet mask PC30. Desktop IP configuration 192.168.30.30 and the subnet mask PC31. IP configuration 192.168.30.31 192.168.30.31. Yes. Before we start configuring the switch, let's try to ping PC20 from PC21. So let's go here, go to the command prompt, first say ip config. Let's check also that the other PC has the IP. So type ip config, and you can see the IP is 192.168.20.20. So let's try to ping it from here. Say ping 192.168.20.20, and you can see that we are getting a reply and it's working. That's because by default all ports on the switch are in the same VLAN, VLAN 1, and I'll show you that by typing the command show VLAN. And also devices in the same VLAN can communicate with each other without needing routing. Now let's go to the switch and run the show VLAN command. Go to the CLI tab. Before we start, I just want to mention something. There are shortcuts that can help you complete commands faster. For example, if I type EN and then press tab, the system will automatically complete to enable. And also if I type conf and then press tab, it will automatically complete to configure. And also let's type T and it completes to terminal. But in this video, I'm going to type the full commands instead of using shortcuts. The reason is so you can clearly see each command and understand what I'm typing while I explain the configuration. Let's type host name, and I'll name the switch SW20, enter. Now type no IP domain lookup. This command is important because if we wrote something by mistake, it's not going to start looking for a domain. Press enter, and now let's type do show VLAN, and you can see here VLAN 1 by default all the ports are in VLAN 1, and don't mind the other VLANs, these ones are here by default. And now let's go ahead and change port 20 to VLAN 20. You can do that by typing interface F0/20, and then let's type switch port mode access, and then type switch port access VLAN 20, which means any end devices connected to that port will become part of that VLAN. So Fast Ethernet 20 became part of VLAN 20, and you see here VLAN 20 does not exist, but it just created it. You can see here creating VLAN 20. Now let's end that and type show VLAN. But now you can see that all the ports are in VLAN 1, but in VLAN 20 we have only Fast Ethernet 20. Now BC20 became part of VLAN 20, but BC21 is still, you can see here Fast Ethernet 21 is still in VLAN 1. So now if we try to ping again, it's not going to work this time because now those two PCs are in different VLANs. Let's try to ping. Press the top arrow and type enter. And you can see now that the ping doesn't work anymore. That's because BC20 is now in VLAN 20 while the other BC is still in VLAN 1, so they are no longer in the same VLAN. So now let's fix that by adding BC21 also to VLAN 20. Now let's type config T, and let's type interface Fast Ethernet 21 switch port mode access, and also switch port access VLAN 20. And you can see now that BC21 became part of VLAN 20 also. Now let's type show VLAN, and you can see now in VLAN 20 we have the port 20 and port 21, which is BC20 and BC21. So it's working now. Now let's try to ping again. It's going to work this time because now they are both in the same VLAN. And you can see we are going to get a reply. Also let's type show run, and you can see here interface has Ethernet 20. Those are the commands that were assigned, so everything is working correctly. Now we're going to move to the next switch and do the same. Let's go CLI tab, enable config T, no IP domain lookup, hostname SW30. Now I'm going to type interface range F0/23, 20 and 21. Here I'm selecting interfaces fast Ethernet 20 and fast Ethernet 21 using the interface range command, so I can configure both ports at the same time. Press enter. Then I set the ports to access mode because they will connect to end devices by typing switch port mode access, which means these ports are set to access mode. An access port carries traffic for a single VLAN and connects end devices to the network. Finally, I set switch port access VLAN 30, which means I assign these ports to VLAN 30, so any devices connected to those ports become part of that VLAN, and you can see creating VLAN 30. Amazing. Now let's end this and type show VLAN. You can see fast Ethernet 20 and fast Ethernet 21 are in VLAN 30. Okay. Let's also type show run, and you can see fast Ethernet 20 and fast Ethernet 21 are in access mode and also in VLAN 30. Okay. Now we are done configuring both switches. Now let's move on to our core. Go to the CLI tab, type no because we're going to configure it by ourselves. Type enable config T, no IP domain lookup, host name S1, interface range fast Ethernet 23 and 24. Here I'm selecting those two ports that are connected to VLAN 20 and VLAN 30. I type interface range to configure both ports 23 and 24, which is those two ports. This one is 24 and this one is 23. So I can configure both ports at the same time. Next, I'm gonna make them trunk, so I'm gonna type switch port trunk encapsulation using .1 Q, which is the standard method used to tag VLAN traffic. Finally, I set the ports to trunk mode by typing switch port mode trunk, so they can carry traffic from multiple VLANs between the switches. Now I'm gonna create VLAN 20 and VLAN 30 and configure their interfaces and assign an IP address. So I'm going to end this first, and I'm going to type config T, and now let's create VLAN 20 and VLAN 30. Now let's create the interface. Type interface VLAN 20 and the IP address 192.168.20.251 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Okay, now the second interface VLAN 30, and let's assign the IP address 192.168.30.251 and the subnet mask 255.255.255.0 and press enter. Now we are done creating the interfaces and assigning the IP addresses. Type end. However, we are still missing two important steps. Before we configure them, let's first see why they are necessary. So I'm going to try to ping PC20 from PC30. In other words, I'm going to try to ping VLAN 20 from VLAN 30. So let's go to the PC. Let's first check that this PC got the IP address correctly. Type IP config. You can see we have an IP address. Now let's try to ping PC20. Ping 192.168.20.20. It's not going to work, but I just want to show you. So type enter. As you can see, the ping fails. This happens because communication between VLANs requires additional configuration. So let's go back. So the question is, what are we missing? First, we need to enable IP routing on this multi-layer switch. So let's type config T and let's add IP routing. IP routing enables this multi-layer switch to operate as a layer 3 device and route traffic between different VLANs. So we added IP routing. So the second step, we need to configure the default gateway on the end devices. The default gateway tells the PC where to send traffic when the destination is outside their local network. So let's go ahead and add a default gateway. So we need to go to devices, go to the IP configuration, and we need to add the default gateway here. So let's add 192.168.20.251. Okay, let's add the default gateway in all the PCs. (192.168.20.251). Let's go to PC30. (192.168.30.251). Now let's go to PC30, IP configuration, and let's add 192.168.30.251. Now we are done adding the default gateway. Without a default gateway, the PCs won't know how to reach other VLANs even if routing is enabled on the switch. So now we are done. Let's try to ping PC20 from PC30. In other words, VLAN 20 from VLAN 30. Okay. As you can see, we are getting replies now. You might notice the first ping request times out. That's normal because the device first used ARP, which is the Address Resolution Protocol, to learn the MAC address of the destination. After that, the next ping succeeds. This means the configuration is working. In this setup, we are using a multi-layer switch as a layer 3 device, and we enabled the IP routing command so the switch can perform routing between VLANs. Right now, we are in PC30 in VLAN 30, and we are able to ping a PC from VLAN 20, which means Inter-VLAN routing is working. So inshallah, I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.